So they're renewable, all right? You keep renewing them.
You keep replacing them, but they're the most complex kind of manufactured-y stuff that we can make, right? These extremely chemical-intensive batteries with lots of rare earths and acids and difficult chemistries in them, right? They're nothing like a kind of, like a slab of concrete or something like that you use for a regular building or the protect shielding for a nuclear reactor, right? This is highly manufactured stuff, and we need them in bulk, right? That's the inevitable requirement of so-called renewables, is that you have to catch this diffuse, dispersed, intermittent energy out around the landscape. So you need to build these vast swathes of solar panels or blades of wind turbines. And solar panels, again, like, they are extremely highly manufactured. Like, they are, by definition, these fine layers of silicon with little bits of conductive material and different layers between them. So they're not some simple material. They're highly refined and manufactured. Lots of little bits of somewhat dangerous or difficult solvents and glues and conductors in there as well. And turbine blades, we tried to create the lightest thing we can so that we can fill the sky with huge sails, right? And that happens to be these resin-based epoxies holding together these strands of fiberglass, right? So, and then the filler in the middle is generally polystyrene, right? The most floaty kind of difficult, put in the environment, goes nowhere and everywhere, flies on the surface. It's horrible. This is our worst, most manufactured kind of plastic, chemical manufactured nightmare in a tremendous bulk, massive bulk, all across the landscape, right? So I don't think it's particularly renewable, and at the moment, our energy plan, the integrated system plan, it doesn't consider the energy cost and the carbon cost of manufacturing this stuff because it's manufactured overseas. They only consider the scope 1 emissions, which is what actually happens here. So we're actually deluding ourselves partly about how close to net zero we'll get.
It's a joke,
because it'll be manufactured in China using whatever coal.
But it's a global problem.
And
we've set up systems that allow some countries to look pure.
That's right.
Whilst their consumers actually are creating just as big a footprint. It's just being done somewhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So take a stab. You're better informed than most of us on this stuff. When we hear the government saying we're moving to 82% renewable energy in electricity production.
Yes, by 2030.
By 2030. Okay, that's the target. What percentage of actual reductions in emissions will that 82% produce?
Look, if
because people presume
that it's 82% reduction in emissions, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, look, I think it would. If it's much better than 50%, I'd be surprised, to be honest. If you wound
that
in
much.
The full,
So you go through all this pain.
Yep.
To get to 82% electricity renewable.
Yep.
But you've actually only reduced emissions by about half.
Something like that. Yeah, that would be very roughly like that. But do
you think many people have any understanding of that?
No, very little. I mean, people would commonly sort of say that, look, the life cycle of solar is relatively small, but the bulk of the solar panels at the moment, the estimates for the carbon intensity are too low because they're based on probably European manufactured panels, not the Chinese ones, but also they assume they're going to be very efficiently done and cleaned nicely and on nice single axis tracking, and then we'll have no restrictions on getting to the grid. By the time you end up in the situation we'll really end up in, you'll put them on everybody's roofs. They'll be manufactured in China using the dirtiest coal, unrepentantly, with aluminium frames that are manufactured again using coal. And then they'll be sent here, put on roofs that are slanted at random directions, half of which are shaded by leaves. They'll be cleaned, possibly never. And they'll be switched off as well. As we get more and more solar panels, we'll have to switch them off. So that won't be actually effectively displacing our carbon emissions very much because we'll have too much solar at certain times and we'll just waste that energy. So the true carbon intensity of all the stuff that we will end up building is going to be a lot more than what people are telling themselves when they buy their solar panels at the moment, feeling all virtuous that it's only, 30 or 40 grams per kilowatt hour. It'll actually be something up well above 100. And that is less than coal, for sure, but it is not nearly as good as what we're telling ourselves. So that is a huge problem.